Oh, I didn't see you there, my friend. It looks like you've wandered into the Lotus Keep. This is the 7th map from Stardate 20x7. Lotus Keep is one of my favorite maps in 20x7 when it comes to visuals and atmosphere. It's some sort of dark alien temple with a highly centralized structure. The progression is mostly linear. Once we get to the upper floor, we have a choice of either pursuing the yellow keycard or cleaning out the wooden structure on the side. However, that place requires a black keycard to progress, so there's really only one correct choice. Yellow keycard is needed for the switch near the entrance and opens a path towards the staircase fight, which eventually yields the black keycard. After that, we can go to the wooden building and open the exit. This map is very cramped and claustrophobic. Encounters usually do not involve giant hordes of enemies, but the environment makes the combat rather tricky. There's only one big set-piece fight here, but the overall difficulty is still very high. Thankfully, the level is relatively short, but to be honest, that does not detract from how obnoxious many encounters are. Ammo is tight, health supplies are scarce, pretty much a normal day in 20x7. The main problem on this level is the staircase fight. We're surrounded from both sides. There's a group of knights and a swarm of imps on one side, demons on the other, and 2 chain gunners on towers. Contrary to what you may think, there are actually several strategies for this encounter, but the one that is the most comfortable for me involves taking care of the chain gunners and then hiding amongst the demons, trying to circle around and make it to the top. However, that's merely the first stage. Once we reach the top, 4 archviles appear supported by 2 revenants behind. This part is extremely difficult for me and I can't do it reliably. You do have cover from the vials, but then you're exposed to revenants. You can try to kill the revenants, but that will give the vials enough time to get close to you. So you kinda have to pay attention to both sides at the same time. The big issue is that you really want as many rockets as possible for this, but chances are the battle for the yellow key switch made you waste most of them. So this is kinda the same situation like in Sphinx Rising. You just have to know that you need to save rockets, otherwise you're in trouble. Lotus Keep is very beautiful and the overall structure is very carefully designed. The visuals are impressive no matter where you look. However, one thing I want to point out is this little area where you get the black key. It comes right after the dreadful staircase fight and has a single zombie man standing amongst strange boxes of various sizes. I don't know why, but this place fascinates me. Why is there this long zombie here? What's up with those seemingly random boxes? It really seems like there's some kind of untold story behind this, or maybe Ribbiks is unknowingly messing with my mind again. Okay, so this is a bit of a last minute update because I want to talk about what I'm gonna do going forward. After this video, my Stardate 20x7 series will go on an indefinite hiatus. As I hinted in the Eastern Sun video, I'm not really in the mood for playing Stardate right now, and I also have a couple of other things in the works that I'm kinda more excited about. So maybe I'll come back to it at some point, maybe not, we'll see. Now, as far as what's gonna happen with this channel in the future, I honestly have no idea. Well, I have a lot of ideas, but just not enough time to realize most of them. So I don't know, as of right now, the future is as mysterious to you as it is to me. I guess I'm gonna show you the Doom Mapset that I'm working on, you know, whenever that's ready to be showcased. Maybe I'll do some other series in the meantime, I have a couple of ideas for that, or maybe I'll just abandon this channel forever and never upload anything again. At this point I might come back as a VTuber for all we know. But for now, let's not think about that and instead check out that Lotus Keep demo. Okay, this map is not messing around, there are difficult fights around every corner. First we have chain gunners and a pain elemental. The pain elemental has to go, so I'm trying to line it up so that the chain gunners are also damaging it. Unfortunately, there are many things that can go wrong here. The pain elemental can stay in the monster closet, the chain gunners can circle around and ambush you from behind. And it doesn't get any easier from here on out. The next fight is very interesting. There is a bunch of imps supported by a baron and 2 archviles. Now, the tougher monsters are on a pedestal, so they initially cannot move, however, the pedestal lowers after a couple of seconds. And I believe that only happens on ultra-violence. On lower difficulty levels, the pedestal just stays up. So the idea is that we have to kill as many imps as possible, as quickly as possible, before the archviles come into play and start resurrecting them. And then we have 2 archviles and a baron in this tiny space. It's a very cool fight, and it's also very dynamic, you never know how it's gonna play out. Yeah, and in this demo I actually rush forward to get the ammunition, which also lowers the platform. Now ideally you want to keep both archviles on one side, which is not always that easy. And there's also this baron that keeps getting in the way. Thankfully at least the barons behind us are not much of a threat. There is a way to cheese this area by rushing towards the place with the chain gunners, but I prefer to do it legitimately. By the way, that's the yellow key switch. Once we press it, it kind of reshapes this entire area. Yeah, so I really like this encounter, but actually the next one is also pretty cool. It's gonna be a really cramped fight with a bunch of revenants and an archvile, but there are a lot of thin pillars that we can use as cover. I don't know why, but I'm always looking forward to that fight, you'll see in a second. It's pretty deadly, but it's just really fun. Here we go. So there's really no special strategy for this, you just have to play really well. Focus on the archvile, use the cover, stay close but not too close to the revenants. There are also a lot of other enemies, including chain gunners, but you can't do much about them initially. You need to kill the archvile first. And of course it was going really well, but unfortunately I got punched by the revenant. There's also a second archvile in the area, but thankfully it's stationary. However, it can still target you through the windows, so you have to know where the safe spots are. Once we take care of the revenants, we're gonna have to secure a switch that opens the path forward. There are 2 revenants and an archvile guarding it, so we have to be careful. I'm actually gonna play it safe and lure them out one by one. I specifically do not want the archvile reviving all the revenants. Oh, and that was some really good RNG, I usually have to wait a lot longer for the Baron to shoot the Mancubus. So yeah, I've got some punching to do. Also, pro tip, do not waste ammo on those Barons because we can telefrag them later. For now we just have to put up with them for a while. The switch that we're gonna press lowers those bars by the Barons and also opens the path towards that stationary archvile. The archvile is guarding that building where we need the black key, so we're not gonna go there for a while. Instead, we're gonna drop down where the Barons are and grab the rocket launcher. And then proceed further to get the yellow key. Now in this run I'm actually doing something that I've never done before, which is that I'm gonna leave those Barons alive. After we press the yellow key switch, the whole area will lower, revealing a lot of monsters. So basically I want the Barons to be there to help with the infighting. And at that point I didn't even know if that was going to help, because this was the first time I was doing this. And this is something that, well, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but that's gonna be the fight where I have to save as many rockets as possible. And because obviously there's an archvile there, I need someone to distract him. There are other monsters of course, but you know, the more the merrier. Oh, and now we're gonna go punch that archvile that I mentioned before. And this is actually kind of difficult because you do have cover, but you have to run a bit back to get to it. And you know, if the Doom physics hate you, then you might just bounce out of cover straight into the archvile's line of sight. Yeah, so this time I'm just leaving those Barons and moving on. Just take care of the chain gunners and take the lift to the upper floor. Also, do not forget to grab the secret with the mega armor. You have to run alongside some torches to get to it. So next up is the yellow key switch fight. And this is probably the biggest mess in this entire level. Normally that fight would not be very difficult because you can just blast everything with rockets. But, as we've established before, we need rockets for the staircase fight, so we can't really use them too much. So really I'm only gonna use the rocket launcher on that one archvile and that's it. And now is the worst part. I need to somehow get rid of the second archvile without using the rocket launcher. So you see, I'm just fumbling around, not really sure what I'm doing. I mean, we can just escape right now, but I'm not leaving until that archvile is dead. So all in all, I really hate this. This fight is really fun with the rocket launcher, but if you want to save rockets for the staircase, then you're basically screwed. And I don't know, I have really mixed feelings about that, because, well, the same thing happened in Sphinx Rising, but at least in Sphinx Rising you could reliably get by without the rocket launcher. But in this case, I don't know, it just feels like I'm supposed to play not the intended way in order to save ammo for the next fight. Anyway, so my previous strategy to save rockets was a bit different. Now, remember that archvile that I killed right off the bat when the fight started? So basically I'll do an archvile jump to the place where the chain gunners used to be at the beginning of the level. And when you're there, you're basically completely safe and you can, you know, just wait until the enemies kill each other. Now the problem is that this strategy is very slow and boring. I actually already had a demo of this level where I did this and it was like 20 minutes long. And at the very end it turned out that one of the pain elementals got stuck somewhere outside of the level and I had to waste like 5 minutes trying to get him out. So I really wanted to re-record this level and get the demo where I don't do this stupid exploit. Because at that time I already decided I'm gonna do this video series and I knew it would be really boring to watch. In the meantime, nothing exciting is happening, I'm just trying to get rid of those pain elementals. All in all, that fight went really well, so I already had a good feeling about that run. I'm probably once again playing it a bit too safe here, but you know, every time a fight like that goes well, you just don't want to waste it by making some stupid mistake. So yeah, we're getting dangerously close to the staircase fight. And just like in the other side, it's the worst part of the level. Well, actually the first stage is pretty cool, I like it, but when the archviles come out, that's just a mess. Like if instead of Archviles we got a couple of Revenants on pillars or something, and that would have been fine, but Archviles, no, that's too much for me. Ah, and that was the last Revenant, now we can move on. We're gonna grab the second secret, which actually doesn't give us any items, but lets us telefrag those Barons that we've seen before. By the way, that's actually not completely safe, you can get hit by the Barons while you're telefragging them. Anyway, let's prepare the rocket launcher because it's time for the big fight. First, blast the chain gunners with rockets, then switch to the plasma rifle. Now this is something that you might want to keep in mind for the future. If you have a plasma rifle out, being surrounded by demons is actually not a bad thing. You can actually buy yourself some time by doing this. This went rather poorly because the Hell Knights got close to me way quicker than usual. So unfortunately I had to back away even further, and there's a damage in the floor there. But still, that's calculated risk. You don't really have to be stingy with plasma ammunition because plasma rifle is not gonna help you when you fight 4 Archviles at the same time. So just go nuts, it's better to hold the trigger down a bit longer than necessary than not long enough. And here we are, the worst part of the level, and the most difficult one. Now remember, we've got Archviles, but there are also 2 Revenants behind us. And that really ruins this entire fight. If it was just Archviles, it wouldn't be so bad. And yeah, things got really bad over there, so I had to go for the medikits. It almost looks like this is how it's supposed to be played. You get the Archviles away from the top and then hide behind those pillars. Alright, so at this point the map is already over, we have won. If you get to this point of the map, you shouldn't die, unless you make a major mistake. There are still a few fights left, but really that's just wrapping things up, the worst is over. Let's just carefully take care of these Revenants and get out of this dreadful place. So right now we're gonna grab the black keycard and go to the wooden building that we've talked about before. In the wooden building we're gonna deal with 2 encounters. First we're gonna press the switch that requires a black key, which is gonna unleash a couple of Barons and Archviles. This will also reveal another switch which is gonna introduce a Cyber Demon to this place. The second fight starts when we pick up an armor bonus in the middle of a room. This opens up a couple of monster closets, chain gunners, Hell Knights, Revenants, the usual stuff. It is possible to make a big mess there, just unlock everything and see what happens, but I'm not gonna risk that. By the way, that's a pretty fancy wall, really cool. Like everything in this level, I mean it looks amazing all around. As you can see, we can avoid that armor bonus for now. Right, so first we're gonna have to do this weird thing where we telefrag 2 Archviles by walking onto platforms that they're standing on. And now we want to blast the Archviles that are supporting the Barons. I don't really want to fight the Barons yet because we're gonna bring that Cyber Demon here. So you'll see me just kind of trying to avoid them as much as possible. Also, that's an interesting thing, there are those 2 teleporters, we can kind of jump back and forth between the 2 sides of this room. It's a cool concept, you can be very fancy in this fight if you want to. Especially if you're doing the Chaos run and just unlocking everything at once. Right now I've noticed that the Archvile is infighting, so I decided to go for the switch. And completely wasted that Soul Sphere, unfortunately. And here's the Cyber. Now it's just a matter of waiting until he kills all the Barons. Now at this point you might be thinking that it's going very well for me, but don't worry, I'm gonna make a mistake. I mean, I can't have a run without an embarrassing mistake, can I? So just a few more moments and... boom. I mean, it had to happen, right? No two ways about it. Now I am mildly panicking here because there are no more health supplies left. But at that point I was like, no way, I'm not dying here, not today. Okay, everything is dead, it's time for phase 2. Gonna check the area, but no more supplies. So let's just go for it. Now that I look at it, I did a pretty stupid thing. I should not have pulled out the rocket launcher here. Because there was a chance that those chain gunners would block me after warping in. So actually it would have been better to just use the plasma rifle and then switch to the rocket launcher. Man, it took me a long time to get this demo. I was going absolutely crazy trying to beat this level without cheesing the yellow switch fight. It was really bad actually, you're gonna see me showing my disapproval at the end of the level. But in the end I think it's a pretty decent demo. Oh yeah, and the same thing is gonna happen again. I'm gonna kill those Revenants and a Baron around the corner and notice that there's still one enemy left. I can tell you already, it's one of the Barons that I left alive near the rocket launcher. He got stuck on a ledge nearby when I pressed the yellow switch. I didn't expect that because, like I said, that was the first time I left those guys alive. So yeah, kinda caught me by surprise. So that's about it. Thanks for watching this series, I hope you were not completely bored. And yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do next and when I'm gonna do it, but I'm pretty sure whatever it's gonna be, it's not gonna be much more interesting than this. So see you in something probably related to Doom. I mean, it's not like there are any other games out there, right? So goodbye and see you hopefully sometime soon.